Hello student, welcome to the assignment video assignment guideline for the employee resourcing. As I discuss in the class, here is some outline about how you're going to work on the assignment given to you. Uh, Remember, this is individual report, uh, module called employee resourcing. Very important for you to know the assignment guideline is so the word limit for this assignment is 2000 words, 10% up and down, as you know. Also another really important for you is about the assignment deadline is 27th of March, that is Friday, and you know the timing is given here. Remember, it is week 7, that means 27th of March, that's on Friday. Do remember the submission deadline. This is your learning outcome. This is not a question. So this learning outcome is about the whole module, what you're going to learn about from the module, but do not answer this, as these are the only learning outcome, not a question. Also remember, the assignment constitute 50% mark from the assignment, while your 50% do come from your exam. Okay, this is your actual tax is about. If you look at your tax, you have a two part. The part one is about the you need to write job advertisement. That's a job advertisement. That's what you're required to do, as we already discussed in the class as well. Remember, there are some information what you require to include, but remember, this is not all in all. There are many ways we can create the job advertisement, but in general, the best practice is to include this kind of information within your job advert. This is what we expect you to include, but do remember, you can include more if it is relevant. Always do get a feedback from your lecture. You can discuss in the tutorial class. That's the part one. While part two is about the you need to select the two suitable selection method. Following that recruitment advertisement template, what you need to do, which selection methods are suitable per candidate, that those who are going to apply on this job advert. So remember, part 2 follows the part 1. So in a part 2, you need to indicate, you need to outline any two selection method, how you're going to select the people. And then you need to answer these three questions. One is about the why that is suitable, and number 2 is about how and what are the challenges if you choose that selection method. And then the other part is about the recommendation, how you're going to improve it. You know, if we need to really implement, how do we improve the implementation? And then remember, this is all your part 2 constitute 1500 words. So part 1 is 500 words and part 2 is 1500 words. Come to the actual marking guideline. This is your marking guideline. This is what it looks. If you look at here, part 1 30%, part 2 50%, conclusion recommendation give you 10%, presentation structure and referencing give you 10%. This is all together for your employee resourcing mark. Okay, so part 1 30%, remember, and part 2 50%, and conclusion recommendation presentation structure 10%. Let's look at the guidelines what we have. If you look at this one, this is for the guideline for the task 1. The task 1 is about the creating the job advert for any managerial position. Remember, who are the manager? You do ask me this kind of question, don't you? Managerial position is about the who manage people. Team leader is manager, supervisor is manager, and then assistant manager, you know, director. This is all about the managerial position. My suggestion for you to choose any managerial position where you work or where the company you know, so that you can really see the picture about the company, and you must able, in that situation, you must able to create the suitable job advert. Let's look at how it works. Remember, the information what we outline in your actual question. The actual question is given. You can see what we discussed previously. On the basis of that, the job advert, if you look at here, then maybe you can, the template's up to you, how you want to create, how you want to design. It's totally up to you. Use your creativity, as I keep saying you in the class. The first part is about the job title. In your job title, maybe your position is a HR manager, HR assistant manager. It's totally up to you. And the next part is about the brief summary of your job. Brief summary means what the job is about. You may want to write, but don't write the essay. Remember, we're just writing the job advert. That's why it has to be 3-4 lines. Very briefly, what his job is about. If I need to apply some job, I really want to know what his job is all about. And not all the time job title tell us to give us the clear picture. You may want to give this what is job about. Then you may want to write about what are the salary and benefit, or wages. It depends on your company. There's one way of doing. The benefit includes, how many days annual leave, plus any bonus, commission, any kind of incentives your company offers. You may want to write over here. Location, where the company is, where the person is going to work, need to be there, and hours, how many hours they need to work per week. But remember, if it depends if it is whether it's a full-time, part-time, you really need to clear about this one. If it is a full-time job, then obviously you need to look at the legislation as well, how many hours you can work per week or are allowed to by law. Somebody in a full-time position should work in a full-time hour in a full-time job. And tenor, mostly about the full-time or part-time or flexible or contractual, you need to write here. Okay, so this is what information you need to put over here. Now come to the next part, is about job description. Remember, job description is about the, if anyone come to that job, what they will do, their roles, their duties, their responsibilities. So you need to explain this in detail, what they are going to do within that job. So perhaps you need to have a more detail of this, but you need to make sure it's on a bullet point. You're not discussing, you're not writing essay on that. And have a number of roles, number of responsibility here as per the job. Okay. Then also within the job, you may want to include report to. So if you come on that job, if somebody, whoever applying for that job, if they get selected, whom they're going to report to? Obviously, their senior manager, their line manager, they're going to report to. And as we said, this role is for the managerial position. So that's why you are responsible for how many people, which department, which section, you may want to write there. And under the person specification, you need to write about individual, their skill, their knowledge, their qualification, their experience. For example, skill could be computer skill, ICT skill. It could be negotiation skill. It could be interpersonal skill. Qualification could be any kind of certificate, diploma, degree. It depends on your role, depends on your position. And experience, how many years, in which sector, in which position. So you may want to look at those as well. That comes under the person specification. And remember, you might have a different way of writing the person specification. If you're not sure, do so to your lecture. They will give you the feedback. And next, about the how to apply. How to apply is very much about the, you can give the web link, you can give the email address, you can write it about the how individual going to apply. Closing date for the application, interview date if you are interviewing, or if you want the test, then you can write the test date. And then at the end, what we want to say about the equal opportunity statement. Equal opportunity statement is about the, it's about the commitment shown from the company to the any candidate, regardless of their background, regardless who they are. So it's about very much about the showing the commitment to the old kind of candidate for having the fair procedure, or commitment over the fair procedure is very much about the equal opportunity statement. You may want to write this all. What I would suggest you, while you're generating this job advert, I would suggest you to look at few of the template and decide and work on that. That would really help. And that's about your part 1. Okay, now let's move to the part 2. That's your actual question in a part 2. In a part 2, what you need to do, you need to choose any 2 selection methods that are suitable for the job that we advert before. Remember, so that's why task 2 follows the task 1. And then now once you have a selection method, then what you need to do, you need to discuss about those method, you need to discuss about the challenges associated with that, and then how it can be improved. Now let's look at the guidelines more in detail. That's your actual question, and that's the guidance. Okay, because this is about the report. Remember, you need to write the report. That's why you can look at write or report. So you start introduction. In the introduction, what you can do, you can select those two selection method and briefly introduce what those method are, very briefly. Okay, then second part of your structure within your report, the selection methods. Remember, your selection method, what you have said here, could be interview, test, psychometric test, assessment center, work sample test. Any methods could be. It depends on your job, because we don't know. I mean, which some job require interview and test, some job require they want to go through the assessment center. It's totally up to you which two selection method would you suggest. Remember, if some methods are not here, still you can use those selection method. But what I would suggest you talk to your lecturer as well, in case if you're not sure on that. But in this part, what you really need to discuss, you need to focus on strength and limitation of those methods. For example, if you say the interview, if you say the interview, what would be the strength, what would be the limitation of using the interview, and what is interview is about? You want to introduce on those aspects. And for example, in terms of the strength is about obviously you can able to know more depth about individual, you can have a cross question, that's mostly about the opportunity of having the interview, and it allows people to the interviewer to know whether person going to fit with the job, whether person going to fit with the organization or not. And so it gives you wider scope if you use the interview. Similarly, guys, what you need to do, whichever method you have chosen, you need to discuss what the method is about and discuss briefly what are the strengths and what are the limitations of using those methods. Okay, and remember, strength and limitation depends on the types of the selection method that you have chosen for your report. Next. Okay, next part is about the challenges. Remember, the challenges is about it's very much about challenges, very much similar to the limitation, but the challenges could be more on that. For example, remember, the challenges again depends on the selection method that you have chosen. The challenges could be, for example, it could be very subjective. For example, if it is interview, could be biased if interview is not is on structure of if you interviewer allowed to ask question as they on the basis of their decision. Depends upon the interviewer. Sometimes some interviewer might not be skilled, might not be experienced, and that wouldn't lead to the sensible interview, or let's say the good interview. And it also could be the time consuming, isn't it? Sometimes it's too much time. See, these are the challenges. Also about the halo and horn error, which is about the first impression. Halo means if first impression was positive, that's a halo error. If the first impression was negative, horn error. So remember, reliability, validity, this is all about the various challenges. But have a look. I have written down, I have noted you or outlined you on 3 areas: legal, very much about privacy, confidentiality. Remember those Data Protection Act, Equality Act, that's about the equal opportunity. You need to make sure you comply with that. And that could be the challenges in any methods if your questions are not well structured. It could be the ethical in terms of supporting, encouraging interview, any kind of avoid prejudice. You can look at to what extent these are very much work along with the learning difficulties. And this sort of thing happens here. Operational is about the implementation part, very much about budget, time, and any implementation issues. So you may want to look at these kind of issues in your challenges. Remember, guys, when you're talking about discussion, make sure you use the relevant literature or information or statistics to support the discussion. The very important is about discussion and analysis. and then conclusion, recommendation, what need to be done to improve the implementation of those methods. While in bibliography, you need to have a referencing. Guys, I hope this would help you.